And welcome to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. This is Planet Collingwood. My name is Monty Dean. A big thank you to Why Not and the cohorts for the Y-Files, as usual. Just caught the last closing overs of... What's going on now, you silly thing? Last closing overs of the show. It's good to hear some chaps talking. There, I said it. It is talk radio. If you enjoyed, what am I doing? I'm trying to do two things at once. I'm not female, I'm male. I just do one thing badly. I can't multitask. Or can I? I can talk and breathe and walk at the same time. Hey, look out. Big thank you. If you enjoyed the last 2 hours, please go to the website freedomslips.com or revolution.radio and donate what you can. At this point in time, according to my sources, which is I'm looking at the website, we have raised $1,315.54, and our goal is $2,000. So if that's from, hopefully not from last month, it's from this month, we are on our way from misery to happiness today. That's right. I'm pulling out all the 90s references just to make people go, what the hell is he talking about now? Let's have a look. All right. So, yes, we're going to talk about many things. If you'd like to join myself and the gents on the call, please, if you're on my list, just send me a message and I'll add you. And if... you want to join, I believe it is Freedom Screen on the old Skypey. All right, another person has joined. There we go. I'm producing myself. Fana. So if I add, and then we get... I don't like you, silly... Oh, cheeky. It's being cheeky. There we go. Oh, it's a 0. Oh, excellent. Alrighty, so we have been joined by John Z, Cortek. Who else is on? John Z, Cortek, Steve Zerilath, the Viking, and the pony has just wandered in from his stables. Gentlemen, how are we all?
We're here.
Wait, is he talking to me? Good to hear you all.
Well, I know I qualify as all, so.
Oh, is that a weight joke?
No, it means I'm in this particular group that can respond to the question.
Oh, excellent.
But yes, it's also a wake joke.
Oh, fair enough. Right. Cortek, how are you?
Afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I have all kinds of user errors this afternoon, not finding buttons I should be pressing. Great. It's a little grey here today.
Up in New South Wales.
Yeah, not the old one. Not to be mistaken with the old one.
Yeah, which is just called South Wales. And a fellow Victorian, Pony, how are you, my friend?
Yo, let me suck this bong and I'll get back to you.
Well, he seems a bit happy. Mr. Z, how are you, sir?
No, I'm good.
Okay, cool. I think I've got around the table, and yeah. And Viking, I think you started this whole shindig off. So yep, that's a circle. Let me see. And I usually do some headlines, but everything sucks, and I don't care. So take that as you will.
That's the spirit.
Well, also, Victoria's gone into lockdown 2, lock harder. And I went shopping today because I'm hungry. That's how that works. And it really is, I think there's one case in our council, which is in Americanese County. And, really don't care. I mean, there's people, we're social distancing and some people wear masks. But apart from that, it's just exactly the same as last time.
If you've got that one person, that one person selected, you know who it is, why can't we just get like a boy in a bubble situation for this person, Anyway.
I've got a feeling they're in a hospital type thing. However, I did read one headline.
That would be discrimination.
Be funny. You could make a reality TV show of it.
Yeah, this guy's sick. We're going to follow him around for 13 weeks. Uh, now, there was one headline that caught my eye and my memory's gone, use this one. Is in the Australian, which I think is the closest newspaper we have to journalism. I really don't follow that much. However, the headline was that the corona hotspots, which the Housing Commission flats, are linked to the Black Lives Matter protests. And to quote Paul Joseph Watson, imagine my shock. And so, yeah, we live in very interesting times because apparently there's hotspots in Sydney now. And of course, they're like, oh, it's someone from Melbourne. And yeah, is this the artificial second wave? You've got arguments, not in Australia that much about masks, but it's been mentioned. And if so they're testing more, so there's more cases. Apparently there was a death in the last 24 hours, which raised Victorians' death toll to 27 in 4 months, and the national to 112, I believe, in 4 months.
If we're getting all those up-to-date stats, I'd like those stats compared against normal stats for the year, normal colds, normal coughs.
Yeah, yeah. If it's a flu season, 2 questions: why have you ignored it till now, and why are you reacting like this now?
We can just do what they did in Japan back in March. My brother lives over there, and he said they just basically stopped testing, and then so they looked good. It looked like they're doing a good job stats-wise.
Oh, that's very Japanese, yeah. If you are sick, stay home. Alrighty then.
Yes, very true. But if they do keep us locked down, though, for the common cold and this and that, you can't spread it. So there's going to be no reasons for vaccines. Could you imagine that? No reasons for vaccines.
Also, Paul has joined us, and that is correct, Paul, because if more people are staying home and they're not boosting the immune system and through to mental health, they all commit suicide. You won't need the vaccine at all.
Well, funny thing that happened over here in the last couple of days. I think it was like 3 or 4 days ago. We came off of full lockdown, and states were allowing people to travel. And so now they're saying within those 3 to 4 days of people traveling, all of a sudden there's massive spikes of secondary waves. And I went, wait a minute, that doesn't make a lot of sense. That doesn't make a lot of sense. I thought it was a 14-day incubation period. How the hell is this possible?
It's like when they had the Michael Jackson is dead movie ready to go, just waiting for him to die.
Well, they're finding any period of time after a phased reopening that the test results are coming in and you're getting all the cases, right? And all these cases, like, they're not telling you that it's asymptomatic. They're not telling you that it's not going to activate like a time bomb, that it's not going to cause any suffering other than the inconvenience of a stuffy nose. It's coronavirus cases, not SARS-CoV-2 infections.
Yeah.
Which is a specific coronavirus, and it's not even COVID-19, which is the disease that they allege is caused by SARS-CoV-2, which is the only virus in question. That's how convoluted this is.
I'm convinced.
And the symptoms are pneumonia.
Well, hang on. John, then Paul.
I agree with Steve.
I've just gone biblical. John, then Paul. Go ahead.
I'm convinced at this point that these tests are literally just randomized to pop positive. I think it's 100%. All of them are almost all false positives.
I heard a report today that somebody sent in a swab test that was actually not used and came positive.
Yeah.
Well, who was that gentleman in Africa? They actually guava monkey and stuff. They all came back positive. Yeah.
COVID is the last problem they need in Africa because they're not worried about anything like that in Africa.
They've survived AIDS. I think they'll survive this.
Right. Well, you know, there's a very, very specific plan for South Africa, the nation, as we all know. There's the agenda going on in the CR Congo, the DR Congo, the Congo. That place matters. You know, Somalia has its piracy and relevance to the Saudi influence matters. There's the issue of Kenya, which is important to the Birthergate situation, which may tie into the treason and sedition charges on the prior presidents of the United States. Ethiopia is interesting because of its connection to Libyan ancient history, as well as being a perceived place of the Ark of the Covenant. And that's all the little places in Africa that they don't talk about that have a lot to do with a lot of things.
Interesting enough, I have a friend in South Africa, and I saw some stats. The country's about 58 million people, and it's probably, I think, smaller than the New South Wales, or slightly bigger than Texas. Sorry, Texans. And there are 2,500 deaths, but is it seasonal flu? Because it's very hard to try and talk to someone about this when they've had a loved one or a friend die. And it doesn't matter what they die from. They don't want to hear about, I'm just going through this loss. I'm grieving. I'm going through the process. Well, that's just fake. You wonder why a chair's thrown at you. And it goes back to my whole thing about, like, it's just proven the medical system's completely stuffed. And why that's where, see, there seems to be an agenda pushing through, because they're just using this to implement everything while changing or destroying the economy. Because there's mass deaths, like in the same amount of time, I think just in Victoria, you've had over 100 people die on the road, and over 300 people commit suicide. But they're just going, these cases. Because if you notice, they've shifted from deaths to cases in the language. Go ahead, Paul. Or not?
Hey, Monty.
Sorry. Sorry. The mute factor was a little bit difficult.
Oh yeah, Paul, then Viking.
Yes, thank you. G'day, Viking.
Hey.
Anyway, and also Steve and everyone else on the table. Also, the best part about what they're trying to portray towards us is, we're Mexicans, we're locked down at the moment, But half of the people around, it's not compulsory to wear masks, but media generations are always wearing masks and this and that. My little siblings have fallen to the factor of some of that. I go, well, if you come to the big smoke, maybe, yeah, but at home, I wouldn't, So I'm talking about the country.
Just to clarify, everyone outside of Australia, when Paul said Mexicans, he meant Victorians because we're south of the border. Australian slang, welcome. Viking, go ahead.
Well, I sent you some stats. So last year, 2019, Australia had 50,000 confirmed cases of influenza, 100 deaths. So you're basically in the same position as you were last year, although we are halfway through the year.
Yeah.
But also, it seems to me there must be some kind of cone of silence that these governors and mayors and people have, that they get into like a certain time of the day and they get their marching orders, because we had a complete shutdown in California yesterday. And it's like there's no call for it, absolutely no call whatsoever, and they shut everything down one more time. It's just like we're going through the second phase of this hysteria.
And it's
Exactly.
if I may, there is going to be more deaths from lockdown because of mental illness and everything else like that. Go ahead, Steve.
And I want to underscore something. The police are order followers, so none of this stuff that the governor is saying would matter if, the police looked at the people in this system and said, you want me to shut down that business for that? Like a whole police union has to wake up one day and say, what are you doing? Right now, that may never, ever happen because of what it is to be a police officer in this system, because there's an occult aspect of it that keeps them lockstep with obedience. So, it's just during this time, I just have to look at, the thin blue line people, and I got to look at them and I say, like, there's no thin blue line. There's a Second Amendment that everybody's armed in the first place. And if all you care about is, making sure that crisis can be averted, you are the point of action when there's a threat. There's literally no reason to have cops if your entire argument is immediate public safety. You would have to turn every city, into what they're trying to do, which is an open air prison. So that way there's a cop/city guard, like 20 on every corner, to take care of the population. It's ridiculous.
As far as the police go, two things here. As far as the police goes, at least over here and at least in any major city, I'm imagining it's the same in every major city, but basically over here, in Manhattan and all the surrounding boroughs, police are basically being told to stand down. They're no longer serving warrants. Unless you get caught on camera doing a triple homicide, they're not going to come after you. So basically, police right now are doing absolutely jack all. Second thing.
Oh, go ahead.
Second thing, real quick. The reason why they're pushing this mask agenda is to spark, whatever flashes off these riots and all these. I don't even know what to call them at this point. I just call them lunatics because they just don't think straight. All the mask does is it provides them a layer of being anonymous. So you can go out there wearing your mask, pretending you're being a peaceful protester or whatever. You throw on your mask and you go break a window and go loot something. Yeah, nobody's going to know who you are.
Yeah, precisely. And there used to be anti-mask laws because I had to worry about that when I went to the Occupy protests because I had a Guy Fawkes mask, still have it,
Yes,
that
Steve.
I wanted to wear down at the demonstrations to talk about some of the stuff involved in the hacking world that was relevant to my agenda, which was like to help the end the Fed idea get out there. Because, I had to be the libertarian that wanted to hang out with the occupiers, the pre-Antifa, pre-Tifa, if you will. Yeah, it's but the thing is that I'm pretty damn sure that if the attorneys, the state prosecutors look at somebody who is like a club or a bar, which is of deep interest to me as a musician, live performer who was robbed of being able to get gigs started when this hit. If they open up, all those kinds of penalties come down on them. There's still a system on the back channel that will just, it'll screw you up. All they have to do is file some paperwork and a bank won't do business with you. Okay? Like they have every conceivable way of screwing you over. And we're alone because where are the effing attorneys that are supposed to be looking up for this stuff? All of them have bent the knee to the obedience to the pandemic. Either that or everybody is way too cowardly to hire some sort of a lawyer.
Everyone is afraid of losing their job at this point or going into jail.
Or not looking like they're doing enough.
Yeah, but they're letting people out because of the COVID thing, which doesn't make sense as well.
We have, over here in New York, we've had bail reform since January 1st, which has been absolutely crazy, and one of the main reasons we've had spikes over here.
We lost you, John.
The people that are getting released from prison are disproportionately violent felons. And there's no real science that they're talking about. I mean, I'm sure the science that their excuse is there, but it's like they're sitting there. They have the tools of the First Step Act, and they could have taken out people that have the low recidivism rates. But they didn't do that. But guess what? This stuff started before the George Floyd assassination. So what you have here is that they were releasing soldiers. That's what they were doing. They were releasing soldiers. Let's just be for real. It's just like they get out of prison. Their probation officer, maybe pointed them in a particular direction of people that then turned into a situation for that guy as an opportunity to take some George Soros money.
Yeah, and it's very quickly as well. Dr. Fauci is not married to Gwendolyn, whatever her name's Maxwell. It's not it's not her sister. That's just something that's disinformation that went out on the internet. So I got clarified on that. So I just want to clarify this for people listening all the time. Interesting enough as well. The truth with bunny ears is coming out of BLM, or Black Lives Matter, not the Bureau of Land Management, which is kind of the same thing, the way that they just shot Finnegan. Anyway, let's see, you've had black people die. A white woman was killed because she said all lives matter. A baby was shot. You've even got someone from the hip-hop world saying that whites are savages and less than human and more like animals. And it's basically, grit your teeth with this, they're acting like white racists. Yeah, they've just done the whole flip, and it's like, really? And here in Victoria as well, please follow up, John. Here in Victoria as well, there's an idea of changing the name of the state from Victoria to something else. And it's because black and white people have to work together. Like, well, what about everyone else? It's like in the United States, there's Caucasians. We used to be called Anglo-Saxons, but now they're Caucasians. But you just ignore Asia, South Americans, the rest of the planet, and this is where their racism comes in, because they think they're in a perpetual battle between it's black versus white, y'all. And it's like, well, we're all humans. Stop it. Go ahead, John.
Well, funny thing. I think it was a day or two ago. This is caught on multiple body cameras as well as dash camera footage. And I do forget where it was, but it wasn't over here in New York. But there was the police were basically arresting a guy who had a triple homicide warrant out, and so they're arresting him, and he happened to have a friend that was with him, but the cops weren't even bothering with him. They weren't even talking to him. They were just arresting this guy with the homicide warrant, and this guy decides he's going to take out a pistol, attempts to shoot a cop in the head. He gets blasted a few times, and as he's on the floor, he reaches back and starts shooting point blank behind him, trying to shoot the officers. And the crazy part is that people in the comments and all the people doing reaction videos, their immediate reaction was, you shouldn't have killed him because he had a gun. The crazy thing is that the guy was less than 5 feet away from an officer, and thank God he can't shoot for crap, and he almost shot him in the head. Yeah, I was like, what are you talking about? Like, this doesn't make sense anymore.
Yeah.
I also saw on Fox News today, an American citizen has been murdered by a police officer for resisting to wear the mask. It's finally happened. So that's,
my God.
So guess what? Yeah, that's all there. So,
I'm convinced stuff like that happens because they're on the payroll of someone. I'm convinced that the George Floyd thing happened because that guy was told to do it.
Well, that's a good question that I saw pop up in the last week is, can anyone prove that George Floyd being killed was racist? Now, I mean, I'm not saying that he should have died and that cop was a prick, but was there any racism involved? Because everyone's just gone, oh, that's a black man. He died. Clearly it's racist. Everyone's jumped to that conclusion. Why not talk? That's the thing about Black Lives Matter, all lives matter. Well, you're being racist. No, this is actually about police brutality. And white people and Asians and, red. I've actually seen a Native American chew out Black Lives Matter because it's like, yeah, shut up. Like, really?
Yeah, that's funny enough because the Redskins, the Redskins are now panhandling to the Black Lives Matter, changing their name, and I'm just like, are you kidding me?
Yeah,
like,
because
what's going on?
A survey like 90% of Native Americans gone, no, we're kind of proud of that. Like it's just white liberals and the insane Black Lives Matter who are saying, "Go ahead, Steve."
That's what it is across the board. The black actress in Gone with the Wind. Like there's an entire, very objectively, universally accepted and known as true good that came from something like that. Her portrayal for the part and what it meant, as well as the breakthroughs in Hollywood in race relations that it stood for back when Hollywood was honest with itself that it was racist because of how acceptable being racist was and how much they were going through transition, right? Aunt Jemima. Look, the syrup itself is poison. It's a bad product, but as far as the brand is concerned, it's like, it's like the Matrix. Do you want to cancel the Matrix movie because that's Aunt Jemima, the Oracle? Okay, like that's what you look at. You look at Aunt Jemima, and it's like the Oracle in the Matrix movie. I mean,
as well as the family of Aunt Jemima are very upset because it's destroying her legacy.
But that as a metaphor with cancel culture, Agent Smith gains his most power to fight Neo after he absorbs the Oracle, which made pretty much the last soul that Agent Smith absorbs, and then there's nothing left but Neo.
You've also got, I've never heard of this product because I haven't really left Australia, but you've got Land of the Lakes, I think it was, and it had a Native American on it, and everyone, 3 people kicked up a stink, and they removed it, and someone put up a great meme of like, yeah, just like the white man, take away the Indians and keep the land.
Did you see the Goya boycott just completely backfire in their face?
What type of products? What type of products is it like for Mexican food or something? Or what?
It's basically like canned goods and dry goods like rice, beans, that type of stuff.
Yeah, they actually had to ration it because people were buying so much of it. So yeah, that was a good turnaround. It's and like he praised.
I think there's going to be more African Americans coming out of the woodworks too. Like, if you guys didn't see Terry Crews's interview with Don Lemon.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, precisely. I think there's going to be some of those quieter, dignified African American. I mean, Terry Crews, who would have effing thought that President Camacho would have come in with a Hail Mary pass? I mean,
he's up there with Denzel Washington and Morgan Freeman. Like Morgan Freeman's like, how can we get rid of racism? We'll stop splitting everyone into different races. I'm a human, you're a human. Let's go. And like in that video of Terry Crews and Don Lemon, it's great where Don Lemon puts his foot, blah 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 blah, some narrative mind crap, and you could just see Terry's mind just go, what the F is this? N on, the confusion in his head, like what?
Maybe it's just Terry's introduction to somebody who's a script keeper. You should guys. Shameless self promotion. If you go to my YouTube channel, I do a breakdown of Kanye West's conversation with President Trump in the Oval Office at the Resolute desk, it's about an hour long. And I make extremely profound observations in context for you, especially because of the historical precedent having someone like Kanye saying what he said in the Oval Office of these United States.
Yeah. Pony, have you finished your hobby yet? Just.
He should
Anyway,
be on
you
his
talk about
second or
this.
third by now.
Go ahead, Paul. I'm just
Anyway,
trying to
Paul,
get
okay.
everyone involved. So, after Paul, I'll probably call on Viking. Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, well, my lovely African people who are salami, well, you know,
Salami.
yeah, I love calling salami, right? But no pun intended, because I'm a sheikh, so it doesn't really matter. But we've also had Kenyans working with us. We've also had a whole range of Muslims. Now, I'm one of the only people that actually has been go to woe that hasn't been Muslim. But also, I've been to their mosques, I've got a Quran, and it's coming up in 3 months, 20 years now. So how's that for talking to true Africans? Over.
Yeah, it's interesting where, bear with me, I'm going to mention Doctor Who because I try and do at least once a show. I'm not a big fan of the latest Doctor because she can't play the character. I'm judging her on merit. But everyone can, oh, you're sexist, you don't like it's a woman. It's like, well, what about all the other women in the 50 years of the show where they've played Time Lords and Gallifreyans and everything else like that? They're fantastic. It's just this one person that I'm basing on merit I'm not a fan of. And it's the same sort of reactionary mentality of like, you disagree with me, clearly you're Satan. And that's just in the entertainment world. And if you bring it into politics, it's that whole split, the energetic split that we're sort of going through. As Viking says, we're in the middle of two worlds. And that sort of gives me comfort because it's not like we're on the hell timeline. Viking, what have you been seeing? Because I know the Sherman Residence has sort of been quiet and then it did a blip, and the last 2 weeks have been very fascinating because I do listen to your show, so that's why I can sort of say. So how have you been since your last Intergalactic Council?
Well, we the 12th, we just got out of Mercury retrograde and we're in the shadow, and you know, just the whole past 3 weeks has been absolutely insane. You know, with the Schumann resonance and the eclipses, and just this Mercury retrograde has been just throwing everybody into a tailspin, and just, and, you know, being basically aggro being the proverbial word here. I just want to touch on the fact of why this whole thing is happening here, because, you know, we could talk about the festering of the wound, but the splinter here is the deep state's agenda. You know, and I mentioned this last March, and actually September, I said in March, their only agenda would be a pandemic and the melting of our financial system, the crisis. March, I said, you know, the algorithms are showing that the whole push here is that they're afraid of the election, and they're trying to get everybody housebound to do mail-in voting. This is their major push. And it's like, if you go rob a bank and you don't stop the bank robbers, they're going to rob the bank again and again and again and again. There's no opposition here against their their dystopia and fear and chaos of perpetuating this so-called pandemic, which it never was a pandemic. It was barely an epidemic, and there's no phase 2 because there's never a phase 1. Yeah. So it's burning out. But the whole thing here is that they're going to try like hell to try everything they can to keep this dead horse. They're dragging it down the road, saying it's alive and well, and we're all going to die. You know, it's like it has to, at some point in the next 2 months. I think people are seriously waking up, and they're going to rise to the occasion. I really believe, especially with this new Q movement where you're taking the oath. You know, I think it's pretty cool. You know, people are forming the silent army, as I often refer to actually make a statement. And I believe that we're going to start seeing this August and September, and they're not going to be able to pull the wool over our eyes for very much longer. And their time their whole agenda has a time day stamp on it. It's going to expire in October, and I think this is what they're really worried about. This is why they keep on trying to, perpetuate this cophobia, that we're all experiencing here with all the people around us who don't see really what's happening, and we just have to stay clear here, stay disconnected from the actual fear and chaos, but remain on point. And there'll come a time when we have to take to the streets, and we'll be doing that, as I said, probably in August or September, because this can't maintain itself for very much longer.
Another important astrological observation to make is right now we are in a period of the year in which the sun is opposite the Pluto-Saturn-Jupiter conjunction. Saturn is retrograde right now, so that factors in as well. And we're talking about the sun in Cancer, which is very emotional. It's the moon. And there's I think it's squaring it, but I'm not going to get too complicated here. But that conjunction in particular is the conjunction that is part of this era. That conjunction is the complete breakdown. It's in Capricorn. It's the complete breakdown of all of the earthly Saturn energy. Then it moves into Aquarius, where it will all address the airy Saturn energy. Okay. So right now the personality, the ego, the projection of this world is going through the emotional transmutation of what is going on in the death and rebirth of our system of laws, justice and morality, as well as just a lot of shadow work, that Pluto energy.
Well said. Well said.
Well, question, because I think this is still interconnected, because you know how they work. It's still a focal point of the battle if we want to go into war word language, but it's still being used as a distraction, because I'm going to bring in China, where all this is happening, and yet China's being China, and of course we have most of us have disdain for the political party, not the Chinese people. They're awesome when you meet them one-on-one. It's when the ones from the party and start screaming you're all inferior. The thing is, you've got the skirmishes on the border, China and India. They're basically trying to rape and kill Hong Kong, and the US is sort of pushing back, still keeping that cowboy sheriff of the world type thing. I'm saying this as an outsider. Now, is it the US poking the bear, or panda, if you will, or is the good guys, I'll simplify it, is the good guys trying to contain China because they suck?
Both.
Yeah, well, a bit of both. Yeah, right.
Yeah. So, all right. I think we can all agree this has been a major setup since the beginning of the year. A lot of this stuff has been put in place for a long time now, and we're just watching it go through the motions. And one of the ways you can instantly get a population to riot or just go completely without rule of law is food and electricity. Now, in most countries, electricity isn't a problem, because it's kind of secondary. It's just kind of like a luxury. You really don't need it, especially if you're anywhere that you can self-sustain anything. The problem here is that if you've noticed, at least over here, not just meat prices, but everything has been jumping up a couple dollars since the last 4 months, and now this is just the beginning. And I guarantee you, with the amount of food shortages that are going to come, because we're effectively in isolation, as all countries are basically isolated at this point. There's very little actual international trading going on at this point. And so we're basically using up our food reserves and everything we have in the warehouses at this point. And when it gets to a point where we get to a food shortage, never mind if electricity gets cut, there's going to be mass chaos, and no one's going to be able to stop this.
Are there forecasts of that running out soon? Are there any is there any reliable intel about that?
I don't have a timeline on it, but based on what I'm seeing and how scarce stuff is getting just within a couple of months since this has started,
Yeah.
I mean, we're not even done out through the year yet.
Well, you don't have a workforce because you have lockdown, and that's hindering everything. Because I've got a feeling it may be a little bit tough, but every country could sustain itself. Where like you stop having imports. From memory,
You can, but we're not set up for it.
No. No, of course not. That's all part of the globalist plan. Is everyone is dependent on everyone else, and you can't go rogue or independent. Because didn't some of the trade stuff that Trump did with China screw most of the food growers on the West Coast or Midwest or something like that? It didn't work out well for certain things. All that food would be awesome right now. Yes, the thing is you don't have the workforce to keep the food chain going at the optimum level, at a good level to get things out of there. That's why in the woo-woo section of what's going on, a lot of people have gone, I'm in lockdown, I'm going to have a garden, and they start growing their own food and everything else like that.
We voluntarily, I think it's somewhere around like 100. Like there's supposed to be like there's some number, but like based on averages of the last couple years, there's like 320,000 pigs that are slaughtered each day in America just to keep everything going. And we voluntarily have basically cut that by a third. We've stopped harvesting, 100,000, animals per day. And we've voluntarily gotten rid of a lot of the livestock here. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, oh man, like we're basically being set up for the worst case scenario here, and it sucks for me to say that, but I don't see anything good coming from that.
Yeah, there's a comedic element of like, stop doing this to yourself, stop doing this to yourself,
stop punching yourself in the face, Monty. Stop doing it.
I had another thought, but the joke countermanded.
That's one of my funniest gags.
So, by the way, I got something interesting to add to the conversation. May I add something into the mix?
Yes.
Fire away.
We had a Senate primary in Alabama today. You know what's interesting about that?
No one knows about it till you said it?
Nothing.
That's right. Jeff Sessions lost.
Ooh, I know that name. He seems to be a bit of a dick.
That's the way it goes. Now, here's what's interesting. I don't remember when the last time Q insisted that we trust Sessions, trust the plan. However, what we do know is that Trump never turned around his low opinion of Jeff Sessions during the whole DOJ situation. So the question is, does Q have an explanation that matters for why Trump abandoned their guy? Because cognitive dissonance, I'm wondering what the Q movement is going to evolve into down the road, because at a certain point, the Q guys have got to look and, because trust Sessions, trust the plan. Sessions or no Sessions, the plan's the plan. And this never panned out. Trump never fought for Sessions. The other guy is much more vocally pro-Trump, a little bit newer in the situation. He's got one thing that's going to be a big issue that's going to be used against him, but is also going to serve the narrative well. This guy, his entire life was in the private sector. He was a coach for college NFL. Yeah, college NFL. There was a wide receiver on his team in 1999 who was, I believe, 20 or 21 years old. There was some sort of incident with a 15-year-old girl in which it is on the record that he was going to be charged with statutory rape. Now, since this guy won, the articles I found have all framed it as was going to be charged with rape. And you have to dig a little bit deeper to get the context of statutory rape, because I guess somebody believed that he had an improper relationship with a 15-year-old, but there were other charges he got in trouble for. And where the coach comes into play is that he was suspended for 9 out of 10, I don't want to say seasons or whatever it was, but he was like out for like 9 out of 10 things. And on the 10th, in correspondence with something that was going on in his legal status after the situation, he took him back in and unsuspended him. Right? So it makes it look like he has leniency on rapists, and they're going to use that against him. And that's going to be interesting to follow. From what I know so far, I don't see him connected to too many things. And he also has the most buttery radio voice. Go listen to this guy's campaign ad. I'm like, oh my God.
Well,
like,
that's sort of,
I can see why you'd want to vote for him. That voice is like, that's like, that's the trumpets.
Right. Oh, that's the thing about the narrative, because I still see people say Trump's working for Russia, even though there's no evidence at all. And it's very quickly, the whole trust the plan thing. You tell me the plan, or I don't care. I've seen The Last Jedi. Everyone dies. Because, like, at least trust the plan. Oh, so you have a plan. That's better than The Last Jedi. What's the plan? Trust it. Tell me it, or get stuffed. Go ahead, John.
Yeah. So, Trump has his own problems right now. They're coming after him about his whole taxes and about money that his family is probably. I'm not sure exactly what the right word is. I think it's considered fraud or laundering of money through estates. And I know that his sister and other family members have basically resigned from their positions to prevent investigations. So they're going to be coming after him basically in the next couple months with this, and that's probably not going to turn out well. This is kind of going to be like a whole nother Nixon / Clinton type debacle. But one of the scarier things is, when I think about it more, is that he's done nothing. I'm not going to say he's done nothing wrong, but he hasn't done anything that any one of those politicians in office right now, they've all done it, and the only reason they're going after him is because he's in the way.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I was going to jokingly say, like, Trump and his taxes, that's awesome. Now do the Congress and the Senate, because how much do they own?
Yeah. How many? How dare you? How dare you?
How much do they own as a senator and a congressman? And they're 10 times as worth more before they got into office than when they left office. Like, where's all this other money coming from? Because your job is to be a representative of the people. I know, crazy, isn't it? But Pelosi and everyone else like that. It's just all these people complaining about Trump. They're multi-millionaires, and they're all saying Trump's the problem, that government is completely in shambles. Even though that I've been, like Biden's been in being a politician for 47 years, but it's Trump's fault that everything sucks. Go ahead, John.
If there's one person that should be tried for treason, it's Pelosi. That woman is absolutely out of her mind.
She does seem a little on the crazy side. Just a smidge.
A little?
I'm just going off. I'm just going off still pictures of the woman.
Nancy Pelosi is an Aries. I'm an Aries, and we all know some kick-ass Aries women. We know Solaris Blue Raven. We know Noreen Hellpan. Nancy Pelosi is a bad Aries, and an Aries, even if it's a woman, they're treated poorly because they carry that Roman culture kind of personality, right? Because Rome was a Mars based civilization, because it was the age of Aries before the age of Pisces when Jesus rolled in. Okay. So when you suppress your personality, you revert to its opposite personality, and it makes you out of synchronicity, living in your shadow, and yet not being able to embrace your shadow. For an Aries, they fall into Libra, where they go from having the strongest, most resolute sense of self, like me and my arrogant ass, and then they move into this very Venus based sign, the extroverted. It's an extroverted Venus, but it's a Venus based sign, Libra, the scales. And what happens is that you end up like leaning to all sorts of pressure. So she's surrendered her power as the one who takes charge and is completely in service to the forces of the office. So whatever forces are holding that office has her committing all the sins on its behalf. And that's why we have this old hag sitting on the third throne of power.
Well, yeah, some of the Democrat. We're coming up to the break. So remember where you are there, Cortek, or John, or whoever was talking that I interrupted. The ladies of the Democrats seem to be quite insane, because you've got who's the immigrant that married her brother, Imham or whatever her name is. She wants to destroy America and says it sucks. It's like, well, why are you here? And AOC, because I can't say her name in long form, apparently says that New York is. You can see why there's an economic downturn, and all these people are just looking for bread. And there's been over 50 shootings in New York over the weekend, and brings up the question: how good is the bread in New York? As they continue on, people with common sense are just going, "You're all insane."
The water in New York is very special, and it's what makes the New York slice what it is, and thus all bread type of products.
Could be all the cocaine they put in there as well.
I could imagine it has something, but
you can't eat one slice. Yeah,
LSD.
Yeah, right. You know, it goes real good with Purple Pam's hot sauce, who is an official sponsor of my band, Wretched Dominion.
There you are. All right. Now, we're just waiting for the music to kick in. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. This is Planet Collingwood. We're talking about bread, y'all. And we're halfway, so we're just going to go into the change rooms, sit down and suck on our oranges, and then come out and change sides. So, awesome. Now, it should kick in. I can't hear music. What's going on? Oh, don't tell me there's a glitch. Mercury's finished. It's done its retrograde. It's taken off its flares, and all right then. Oh, hang on. Copyright infringement. Well, that's interesting. So, because you build up for a perfect thing and then nothing.
It comes on the 57, and we're at 56.
Okay. See, I say that. Well, it's 57 now. Usually it starts 50s. Anyway, we'll find out. Give it 30 seconds. There you go. See, Viking is much wiser than me.
Perfect.
We'll be back after these short messages. Stick around, everyone. And welcome back to Revolution Radio. If you're on YouTube, it was only a nanosecond. It's time travel. Let's try it. But if you're live, thank you for sticking around. If you enjoyed the last hour, please go to freedomslips.com and or revolution.radio and donate what you can within reason. We don't accept children. We're not the cabal. Sick, twisted people. Once you're at the website, pop in and buy some merchandising. So while you're rioting, you can wear the Revolution Radio t-shirt and cap. We should really make masks. or not. I don't know. That is that a deal breaker if we make a mask, and then pop into the chat room with just liked people, because I like them all. Hello, and a quick shout out to the Octurians hanging out near Pluto. Good to have you on board. Love your work. And also, tonight's show is brought to you by SJ's Ninja School for Squirrels. Let your rodent defend you. Now, we've got an hour to go. So, Pony, have you passed out? All right.
No, I'm good.
Yeah. He's just that creepy kid at the back of the bus that looks at everyone and goes, "You're all stuffed."
Yeah. So I think Pony's theory was still pretty bang on with the trial of that dude. When is that coming up? Does anyone know?
Daddy.
Yeah, you want to expand on dude, because that covers a lot of people.
The guy the cop who killed the black guy, his trial.
Well, last I heard was September the 11th, but I mean, we got, the days ahead of us. Well, if you want to go somewhere, where I've been lately.
Where?
And so I think this is it, boys. Like, this is our life for the next 7 years. That's what I'm thinking, right? That's what I'm thinking.
Pony, the joy bringer. Yeah, all right.
Yeah. And they're going to tighten their grip slowly but surely, and then basically siege us with the food until we get those vaccinations. I mean, who would have thought they'd turn the bloody common flu into a super weapon? COVID, MARS. Oh my God, man.
Who would have thought anyone would fall for it?
Well,
it's incredible. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. But
the retarded thing is there's so many people who don't know what's going on, just trying to look like they're doing the right thing, whether they're an organization or a group, and they're just it's just ridiculous.
Well, like a good example is Pride Month, with all these international corporations putting up the rainbow flag, and then the day after directly they go back. It's like, oh, we like blacks now.
It's not personal. It's business. It's not personal.
Exactly. Yes.
I'm looking at the future, man. I just want to know where everyone else thinks we're going, sort of long term, and I can't get my mind off the Georgia Guidestones. Hey, I've got a prediction. You want to hear a career-ending prediction? You want to hear
another one? Yeah.
Yeah.
Another one. All right. Barack Obama will rise on the 22nd of July this year as a nominee for president. Just to mess things up even more, right?
A question for our American friends on the call. Technically, is he allowed to skip over where he was born? But you're supposed to. You can do 2 election cycles at once. But does that mean you're never allowed to be president again? No. I think because didn't another president did that? I can't remember if he did 2 terms or he did 1 term and then another term. I'm not sure if it's a life deal or it's in succession.
I think a president attempted to run for a term after 4 years, but failed. I want to say that it was one of our 2-term. I think it was one of our 2-term presidents. Like, I want to say Grant, Ulysses S. Grant, but I can't be certain of that.
Yeah, so legally he can. A 2-term president can run a bit later. I wouldn't want.
Can I explain why I say such things?
Please.
And the date.
Yes, well, it's about the comet. There's a comet that's in the sky. It's visible. It's one of the better ones. Out of all the years of tracking these asteroids and comets, and potentially them having coded elements, secrets that relayed back to Earth, or omens or warnings or actual secret missions, and that events have happened in the past that have correlated to things like the 2013 year was a spectacular year for coded comets. Pan stars, we got the Pope. Lemon was Boston bombing. I would have to talk more about it. Ison was ISIS, that kind of thing. Anyway, so Neo-wise. And that's how I came to Obama, because Neo is like, who's the wise one? It's Morpheus, the black guy. And so I'm thinking that comet close to Earth, July 22nd, Neo-wise, the wise one. That's the codement. But I could be completely wrong. That's it. Something else. You got to watch that date, basically, because of that comet.
Okay. I was just taking a quick look, HillReporter.com says that the way the law works is that technically, Barack Obama could be Joe Biden's running mate. In other words, you run a Biden-Obama ticket as opposed to an Obama-Biden ticket, which I think would be perfect because it would be a right-on-the-nose, two-faced politician thing, like, you know, like this whole idea, you reveal the Antichrist, you know, because what happens is the Antichrist gets assassinated. He pulls a reverse Jesus and is dead for 3.5 days, miraculously rises from the grave. Well, as a metaphor, here you can see, you know, if Barack Obama comes in as VP, you can look at it and you can think to yourself, oh, wait a minute, it was Biden behind the scene the whole time, and maybe he just recently got dementia or something like that. One way or the other, you're looking at it as that double play. And then once they get into office, Biden steps down. Actually, no, Biden steps down. I think the pro tem of the Senate actually would go before. Wait, it's either the House or the pro tem of the Senate would become president.
Does anyone honestly think Biden's got a chance over there?
I don't think Biden's got a chance of putting on his pants.
Listen, Biden has a chance to be as believable as COVID-19.
Yeah, you got that right. Yeah, fair enough.
They could deep fake him. They could deep fake Biden on the internet. But just to add more fuel to the original potential of Obama, it won't happen though, I doubt it. But just to add, usually they add in something I'd like to call a dream catcher, where they preempt us with like 9/11 and the numbers 911. You know, they preempted that in the mind before 9/11, like sort of preempting psychics if they were detecting the number. So a little one would be for, oh, I'm seeing a black guy. I'm seeing Obama, a black guy. And then boom, Kanye West. And so, oh, that was him. And then boom, Obama.
Yeah, exactly. That'd be funny as hell.
Yeah, it would be, but it's not going to happen. Don't worry about it. So, hey, I reckon they're going to move us into mega cities, man. It's got to be Judge Dredd.
That's one timeline, which I don't think everyone wants. So, but it's a possibility. But I just had an interesting thought. You think Kanye, at his inauguration, would he rap or just have a normal speech?
I don't know. We have to talk to the wire. Hey, Steve Bain. And The Mask, man, it's playing because remember they robbed the stock exchange as well, and they're like, "How long have we got left?" He's like 8 minutes. Let's go mobile, you know, and they took off on the motorcycle.
I don't know what you're referencing.
Dark Knight, The Dark Knight Rises, Viking.
So I'm gonna go back to Georgia Guidestones. That is a timeline that was put forth by the Illuminati and the deep state. In order for it to exist and play out, there has to be an energy behind it, or an energetics, and it's not going to happen because it is actually, with the Mandela effect, starting to phase out into oblivion. This next 7 years, you're spot on. We're in the 7-year cycles. This year is 0, but I don't see it playing out in a Guidestone sort of scenario, or Agenda 21 or 2 or whatever. You know, this has to happen. This whole episode, so-called episode of this weapons of mass distraction with this COVID has to play out, because it is actually awakening the masses. You know, in proportions far beyond they could even be imagined. You know, we weren't actually supposed to be at this point in our evolutionary cycle until about 8-10 years down the road, but we're actually ahead of the game here. We're actually impressing the galactics at large that we're actually taking this seriously. People are waking up and they're questioning. Questioning means you're painting outside of the box. You're painting outside of the lines. You know, being inside the lines would be adhering to the dictates of what they are telling us is true. But we're waking up and actually going outside of the borders and creating and manifesting our own paradigm now. Where it's going to go will depend on the conscious grid of humanity. But I think enough of us are waking up to where we're done with this. We want to move forward. We want to be able to engage in our lives with benevolence and be able to have prosperity and be able to have a unity consciousness on this planet. And because it's so strong, it's going to upset the algorithms that are currently in place and destroy the deep state agenda.
Yeah, because most of us are nice. To quote Tism, that's a band, which apparently kids today have taken autism and condensed it down to Tism. So like, oh man, they're going to cancel a band that broke up 10 years ago. That's not going to work out well.
Was so good.
Oh yes, I know, very Australian.
Tism sounds like Tism.
Sounds like Tism.
Yeah, well, Cortek, you've shown your colours.
So I have one more observation here.
Yes.
I'm trying to figure out the running mates here for the DNC, and I was predicting Como with a woman of color as VP. So today the algorithm shows that he is making his voice known. He's actually out there, with his his blabber, trying to distract, because he's up. So he's now being investigated for 6,000 deaths by putting people into nursing homes and causing 6,000 deaths to occur in nursing homes because of his actions. So in order to escape that, he would have to be an elected official. So this even gives more credence to the fact that he might be the replacement for Biden.
I actually shared a great Biden meme where it's a lovely shot of Joe. It's by himself. He's not sniffing anyone. And someone put the text up as like, goats are like mushrooms. If you shoot a duck, I'm afraid of toasters.
It's a classic. It's usually got that little guy on it.
Yeah, and what I find is that those three sentences, they work, but they make no sense at all. It's like the energy behind it is like, this is grammatically correct, but the information condensed isn't.
What's with his?
Yeah, I'd love to see Cuomo run for president, so that way, we could just go through all the New York State levels of disclosure. We could start with Nexium. After we're done railing him for the COVID nursing homes. Thank God my grandmother is in a Connecticut nursing home. So somehow Connecticut's not been the worst place, but the corporations are anal in many respects about the mask, which I hate. But for the most part, I don't have to wear it. Anyway, long story short is then we can talk about Nexium. Then we can talk about everything else up and down the line, and that'll be fun with the Southern District of New York liberated.
What's Nexium, Steve?
Nexium is the sex cult that was operating in upstate New York.
Go on.
Oh yeah, that was the one. That was the one that was basically running an elitist prostitution ring.
Yeah, an actress who was on Smallville. This is
like we're talking about your Stormy Daniels class of woman. Okay.
Classic.
And yeah, there was links to Hollywood. I think Canada as well. Someone shared footage of Trump talking about stopping human trafficking, and it's a bow in my quiver to sort of I hate everything that Trump's doing. So you don't think he should stop human trafficking? What? Because the media, strangely enough, is not bringing that up. And this is where it's not fueling conspiracies, but there's reports of all these sex rings and pedophile rings and underground base, everything else like that. Unfortunately, I don't see enough of it to see it's actually happening. But the idea is there, and that makes it palatable. Okay, for me, because it's still in the consciousness. And so if nothing is happening, the idea is still there, and it can be addressed at a further point down the time.
The Antifa sympathizers are basically rationalizing it as any data about things happening in the justice system is being is being fabricated to make it look like something's getting done. Like that's why they laugh at these things, right? Because they're like, they are doing the fake news thing, except they're using it as a form of bigotry.
Oh, well, yeah, Antifa are insane. Go ahead, Viking.
Well, no, I mean, this in the last 48 hours, he basically came out again and said how he's really trying to curtail the drugs, guns, and sex trafficking from over the border of South America. So he basically 3 months ago instituted a fleet of Coast Guards and Navy to he upped the presence in the Caribbean, for this very fact. And I also believe he did this to raid certain offshore banking accounts as well. He's pulling in so much money. I mean, they basically raided the Vatican. I think the Pope is in lockdown now, and he's, if not dead. And they raided the Vatican and just completely absconded with all the funds there, all the gold and money. So I'd really like to see what they have in their library. I think I'm more interested in their library.
Yeah, I was on a conversation last week, and that about 4 of us is like, we hopefully the library in the Vatican, which is like 5 square miles underground, if that's
stays
not
intact.
It stays intact, survives, because that would be a phenomenal tourist attraction.
Oh.
Because it's like, what are you doing for your summer holidays? Oh, I'm going to the Vatican. I'm going to Rome. Oh, you're going to see all the Colosseum. No, I'm just going to spend it in the library for 8 weeks.
Yeah, just read.
Where the Vatican becomes more of a museum rather than an institution.
Yes, yeah, and I think that's part of what's happening with like, I know you talked about. I think it was last show, forgiveness, or was that? My shows are all mixing up. But forgiveness is I don't like the word, but it's now a weapon, because eventually, that's the key word there, we have to forgive the dark for what they're doing.
They're part. They're on contract. It's exactly what they're doing. They're on contract.
Because if you go George Floyd riot style, you'll destroy everything. And like, there should be justice, but that doesn't mean burning down the Vatican, because
we don't want that loss.
All that type of stuff. Yeah, because we don't want to go French Revolution. Go ahead, Viking.
Or the Buckingham Palace. They boarded that up, and now it's being guarded by royal guards, and not royal guards, but the military. And they're in lockdown now in Windsor Castle. They've been disbanded. The Vatican's been disbanded. So now the Federal Reserve is next.
Would that make the triangle?
I like Jeff. Sorry,
yes.
Monty. This is a good a pun that also goes to American pun too. Jeff Dunham. I like to kill you because you kill me and then you kill yourself. I kill you. Ahmed, the terrorizing terrorist.
The dead terrorist. Yes, a ventriloquist. Yes.
So you made a great point here. And the last 2 shows, I basically have said we need to start cheering the deep state. We need to start cheering them on, because they're actually, as I said, since Trump took his tenure, they switched to defensive posturing, because they know now they're being exposed. They only had their way when they were completely behind the curtain, where the curtain has been ripped down and they're being exposed. And I mean, it's like everything that they're doing. I mean, 2018 is all about trying to get rid of the guns, right? And impeach Trump. The guns. Everything they're doing here is trying to keep us, it's weapons of mass distraction to keep us in fear and chaos. But if you can really understand and use it as reflective tissue, that this is not where I want to go. I mean, it is literally allowing us to adapt an antigen to this toxic sociopathic environment. This had to happen for the evolution of mankind.
Nice analogy. Over.
Yes, yeah, don't worry. We have pauses like that on Planet Collingwood, where someone says something profound, and you got to go, wait, I have to think about
processing.
Yeah, processing. Yeah, and we're back. Because I can't remember the name of the movie, but it's about the Nuremberg Trials, and it's showed sort of like everyone on the planet basically wanted to lynch all the Nazis, but it's still with overwhelming evidence, you still needed to do the due process, and have a standard instead of like. Now, without going through like Saddam Hussein, who was caught 6 months before they announced it type thing, and he went to court. But Gaddafi, he just had a hunting knife put up his bum and was just killed. There was no trial, no nothing or anything else like that. I mean, that type of leader, he would know stuff, and it's going to be that instant reaction when some media outlets actually become journalistic again, and they point out and they start showing the truth of like what's that quote of George Bush Sr.? If the American people found out what we actually have been doing, they would hunt us down in the streets and hang us high, or like Bill Hicks. I like the Bill. I'm mixing up the Bill Hicks reference of like kick my head down the street like a soccer ball, and there's going to be an interesting flash, because maybe there's a reason why it's going to happen further down the timeline, according to the calendar, because you've seen how people are crazy now. Imagine, I can't think of an example because it'll make me throw up. But imagine,
you like the Mussolini in Italy where they tore him apart and put his head on a lamppost.
Yeah. Yeah, instead of like questioning him, finding out stuff, and all this everything else. Yeah, and it goes back to the French Revolution. Good idea, started out well, spiraled down to hell where everyone was paranoid, and they just killed everyone because of the bloodlust
and the sugar crash.
Yeah,
from eating cake.
Yeah,
there will be that faction of Americans or people worldwide that have so much anger that they need to aggress. But that's their contract. Hopefully, most of us can take a step back and just find a new resolution. Resolve the situation within and move forward, and understand that they did their part. They did their parts. This needed to happen. They need to do exactly what they're doing. I'm cheering them on all the way to the end, because I know that when enough people wake up, this paradigm, this energetics, this frequency, and this 3D holographic reality of dystopia will be exposed and will be left behind. You have to understand, by detaching, you will no longer be involved.
As well, around about that same time, I'm feeling that we call it disclosure. Everything's being disclosed, but you're talking the general population of humanity when they actually have proof, because if the sky's full of UFOs, they only believe it if they saw it on TV. That could be a lovely distraction from all the anger. It's like, yes, we know, like, Barack Obama did this with Pizzagate and everything else like this. But before you start killing him, would you like to meet my friend from Arcturus? He may help you out through your pain. What? It's
or even being reflective of your soul grouping. I mean, Monty, as we've often shared, if you want to see a galactic, go look in the mirror. You all have a soul grouping that you're representing.
Yeah.
It's not just the Arcturians, but I mean, it could be the elementals as well. Half this planet is elementals. Half is galactic. It's like you can literally start understanding that you are tethering all these experiences, rippling out. The entire universe and sub-universe and multiverse is being audited. And we are the nexus point of this audit. We are literally the nexus point. What we determine and how we decide our fate is going to affect the entire galaxy. This is what's so incredible about what's happening.
And what I find interesting, I've formulated an idea. I'm not sure if it stands up to scrutiny, but the awakening, it's a stairway or a ladder in a certain respect, because people are waking up to, I cheekily say, like, oh, this is, the politicians do this. So you're saying that a corrupt system is corrupt. Please go on.
It's a spiral staircase.
Yeah, well, yeah, with a railing. But my point is, like, people find out that the central banking system and how that's corrupt. That as an example is first step. But we're talking about, what Viking is talking about, what Steve's talking about, and what Andrew Bart's talk about. There's so much more. It's like, just changing the financial system would be awesome. But then that will start. How does Obi-Wan say? You've taken a step into a world you unknown of wonders and stuff like that. And so it's fascination to see, because it's a process. It's not an event in that respect. And it's when people, it's you wake up and it's like, oh, what level you're at? Oh, that. Oh, awesome. And it's once we free humanity from debt slavery. That's a good way of explaining it. The gates are open and let's go run free, and you'll be able to learn. If you don't want to go into all that spirituality and you want to sell shoes, you can do that feeling safe about yourself and not in survival mode because of economics and someone wants to kill you.
No, this is very true. I mean, the awakening process is the awakening process. Again, as we've shared, Monty, you don't have to crack a book or be a Buddhist, or it's like awakening is awakening, whether it's geopolitical, geoeconomic, whether it's dogmatic in doctrines or your health or this planet. Just awakening is all that needs to happen here. You don't have to meditate or be a vegan. Just whatever it is, as you said, selling shoes. If that's your passion, if that's what gives you joy to be able to help people to find the right footwear, then you are on point.
Yeah, I can see, like, you find the right shoes for the right people, because I hardly find the right shoes for me. That's not for me. That's not what I resonate with. But also, my family's very heavily into public transport, and that's a service. And you make sure your vehicle sticks to a timetable. You move people from one place to another, and so they can go about their lives. And when you see people, like, even Steve, if I can use you as an example, you enjoy your Ubering.
Yeah. There's some things about it that I'd rather not be doing. But this is just my segue to, being a music performer.
Yeah, well, it's good customer service. You interact with people, and then everything you learn from that you can take into your music career. But you'll find people that I've been a taxi driver for 30 years and I've loved every day of it. It's because they're in their passion and that's what they're doing. And that's their soul contract, if you want to use it that way. And they've ticked all the boxes. They've had challenges, not problems, blah, 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 blah. But some of us want to become a shaman and remember how to float through the sky. Options. Options. That's what I'm saying, options.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah. Another really interesting marker is that if people haven't heard yet, this is buzzing around, kind of almost like a private investigation that's starting to get national attention. The business Wayfair has been has become suspect in the independent media sphere of being a facilitator of human trafficking.
Mm-hmm.
This is very interesting, and it doesn't seem to directly connect to the Epstein situation, meaning it could be an independent cell of human trafficking, beginning to reveal a larger web. And the president has been is continuing to bring it up in general. Human trafficking. This is I think the third more recent speech was one that he gave today, one of three, where he keeps bringing up human trafficking as this modern thing. And now more and more of these things are starting to get picked up on. As people have built on things, whether it's how we understand that NAMBLA works, symbolism that was involved with the Podestas and the Pizzagate thing, so on and so forth. Wayfair may be one of the first things that's outside of that and is its own independent conspiracy theory. That's going to be very interesting.
Well, so basically what he's doing is he's terraforming and awakening human consciousness with everything he says. He has to set up a platform and an edifice for his statements, right? So I mean, when he mentions this, more and more people are starting to understand and come to the situation and form an intelligent reasoning why he's doing this. I mean, he literally has to terraform our conscious awareness here with these statements. If you notice, he says things 3 times. It takes 3 times for the average mankind to actually come to this understanding. And whenever I'm sharing my vision, I literally say it 3 times, because this is what it takes. So this is what he's doing. He's terraforming his agenda.
I love the fact that this has given a lot of people a bit of time to think about what their passion is. Where we were, people might not have ever had the time to think about what their passion was.
Yeah, well, that's the thing about the lockdown. I'm going to do a prediction because I don't do them often. I can see Sydney going into a form of lockdown as well because of all the hotspots around that area, and it'll probably just be the metropolitan area, like the same thing here in Victoria. And it's in a way it's that stretching the rubber band a little bit more because it's putting people under pressure.
Yeah, and there's no hotspots really. I mean, again, we're relying on the media we know we can't trust.
I know. That's the other thing where, like, Viking and myself, I'm sort of withdrawing from it because it's like, really, still. But we can put our shields up and we can try and look at the algorithm and the story that they're putting forward, and it's.
Any which way, they're in to sell newspapers, and they will, change the facts if it sells more newspapers, or they will report only what sells newspapers. This is an institution that we shouldn't be reporting.
Narrative.
We shouldn't be supporting this at all.
It's beyond selling newspapers. They're literally trying to influence how we, a cognitive reality. They're creating a cognitive reality with their misinformation.
Yep.
Now we have a new caller. HiJacker, are you there?
Yeah, how am I coming through, Monty?
Yeah, it sounds all right. Everyone else sounds okay?
Yeah, so I'm calling in to pick a fight with Viking.
Oh, let's be nice.
I'm putting my gloves on.
All right, okay. Well, we have consent. That's very in this day and age. You need to say that. All right. Keep it clean, above the belt. Be respectful, gentlemen, and Queensbridge rules. Go ahead.
Round 1. Ding ding.
Right. So, Viking, this is what I want to know. I want to know why Q is basically leading us down to. We know that if the race comes down to Biden, Clinton, whoever Biden picks, against President Trump and Mike Pence, that nobody's going to believe the election results. It's going to be a razor hair election. It's going to be close. And so we're looking at, in 111 days, complete mayhem in the United States at this election. So my question to you is, why isn't Q getting behind this guy, Tucker Carlson, and making sure that he gets that vice president spot and overwhelms the Democrats in a landslide election? Why isn't Q basically promoting this Christian guy, Tucker Carlson, smart, off the shelf, he's got everything he needs, new generation Republican? Why? Go ahead.
Well, you mentioned Tucker Carlson a few times. I know your affinity for Tucker Carlson. But he's a news guy. He's not a politician. Politicians are a different breed. They, it's like he has great information.
Donald Trump was a reality guy. Wait a minute.
Yeah, but my point being is that Tucker Carlson has some great formative conclusions and ideas, and he understands what's happening. But what Trump needs for vice president is somebody that's literally theatrical. And I still think, let's just wait a few months here, because we still have yet to see JFK Jr. hit the scene here. And that's going to disrupt a lot of algorithms when that happens.
Wow, you're all in on Q. So you actually believe JFK Jr. is still alive then, right?
I've been saying it for 2 years. JFK's alive,
Wow.
alive and well.
Wow. You're hardcore. You are an apostle. You're a Cuvian apostle. No question about it. Okay, well, there's no arguing with that. I'll just sit back and hang. Okay, there's no breach in that. Go ahead.
Let's let the cider ferment here and see what turns out.
JFK Jr. being alive is a popular theory now because of Q. It was always a fringe theory in the realm of when early conspiracy theory stuff was trying to make sense of all sorts of things. The possibility of faking a death, it's not that there was necessarily evidence for it, but a celebrity, a public figure faking their death as part of a conspiracy theory is a template. So it is something that's been explored. And so some of us, it's easier to rationalize the possibility, and then it gets supported by the Q movement, which doesn't mean that it's wrong. It just means that is there, regardless of the rest of the reasoning the person has to believe it. JFK Jr. could very well be alive.
Well, Steve, there's a reporter, and I saw it early on because I remember Ted Kennedy coming out. He was all upset. They're killing another Kennedy. I remember him saying that, quote unquote, the line of the Senate, in which he was basically a coward, sold out his own family name. But anyways, there was a reporter that said that she saw an explosion. I actually saw the news report that at the time that the JFK Jr. plane went down, she saw an explosion over the ocean of where Martha's vineyard was, and that and then right after that, we never heard from this reporter again. We never saw her again. It was just like went down the rabbit hole. And I remember that. So,
Didn't the QAnon report say that he would come back on the 4th of July, which is passed anyway?
Yeah. So the Patriot Hour, the day just a couple days ago, and we mentioned this, where his cousin, who's in office now, was being interviewed, and there was a prompt, right, where people are texting in, and somebody texted in, if JFK Jr. is alive, touch your nose. And so it went about 30, 40 seconds, and he reached up and he touched his nose.
He didn't scratch
RFK Jr. RFK Jr. is a globalist pro-vaxxer fraud. He's part of the dark side of the Kennedy family.
Okay. Well, anyway, so when he went out in 1999, when his plane went down, they found his plane, but not a body. From what I'm understanding here, he was in an open race with Clinton, Hillary Clinton at the time, and I believe that he was receiving death threats and basically took his exit anonymously.
RFK Jr. wants the QAnon vote in the Massachusetts Senate. It's that simple. He needs every edge he can get because he's fighting Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai, whom, if you actually listen to him, is quite the genius.
Well, why would he even go there? Why would he even go there? I mean, it's like he could have ignored it.
He could have, but he's a politician.
And so are you saying that he lied?
Oh,
so you're saying that he lied?
That could have been a work. That guy could have been a plant. He could have been there to ask the questions. It was coordinated and expected. Come on, it's that easy.
Yeah, but what good would that do anybody for him to acknowledge JFK Jr.? What good would that have done, except for you're saying
it gives hope
deep state, deep effing state. Okay.
So you're saying that JFK Jr. is dead. I want you to make that point. For the record, Steve, you're saying JFK Jr. is dead. Right? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that RFK Jr. will never be honest with you. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
2020, yo. Like, everything's up in the air. And so
Upside down, up in the air.
Yeah. For me, my timeline is we get to the US election and then the inauguration, because those 2 months, it's around about 2 months, isn't it? That's going to be highly intense, whatever happens. But we have to get to that. Now, the thing is, who knows what's going to happen? Is it 110 days, you said, HiJacker?
Yeah, I think it's 111 now.
Yeah.
But that is the point. The point is, why are we setting up the scenario where the Republican and Democratic parties in 111 days are getting ready to smash head on in a major car accident? And let's say Viking's right. Let's say Trump pulls it out. He wins it. It's still, we're looking at pussy hat type of protest on steroids after what we've watched what happened in 140 cities. Why did we let this happen? Why not go a fresh face, a new face of the Republican Party and win it overwhelmingly in a landslide? Unless Viking thinks that it is going to be a landslide for President Trump and Pence.
It's going to be a landslide. I'm not sure Pence is in the picture because he's just a puppet in this whole situation here. Even when he has his speeches, they're all written for him. He's actually there's dirt on him as well. But I just believe that in order for this to happen, the House is up for grabs and the Senate is going to, about 1/3 of the seats are being negotiated. It really is going to depend, not just him being elected, but the House and Senate following suit. If he can get the House and Senate in a Republican majority, it doesn't matter what happens on the street, because he can call martial law, he can bring in the troops, he can basically abate any civil unrest that's happening here. That might happen in those 2 months, but I believe going into 2021, if he is elected and he has the House and Senate, it's going to be a brand new world.
If I can finish my thought very quickly, just the end bit was, we don't know what's going to happen in those 3.5 months till the election. And it may be a poor example, but still an example. The way Kanye West came out and said, I'm running for president, that came out of left field. No one sort of saw that coming. So who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah, Monty, he's up to 2% too, by the way.
Okay.
He's got Kanye West or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
He's already got 2% of the vote. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, see, I think he's taking away from the Democratic base.
Yeah, so. He is, and that could have been actually a ploy, because last year he was all pro-Trump, and he could have been actually, this could be part of the strategy where he's being put into power to grab the African American and the millennials votes away from the Democratic Party.
Well, an example that just came to me, and I'm going to see if I can manifest this timeline. An independent person that is a politician comes out and runs on a platform of ending corruption.
Good luck.
Yeah, I know. Thank you, Cortek, for that support.
Sorry.
Yeah, nobody's going to believe that.
But that is Trump's platform. That is entirely his platform.
I've got a lot of friends who aren't Trump fans, and so.
Because he wears adult diapers. Yeah, I get it. You confront every one of these people. Why do you not like Trump? And they're basically, feeding off an implant that they have held on to based on their insecurity or their pain and suffering. It has no truth or basis. Every time I've confronted somebody, there's no truth or basis. It's all an implant that they are still feeding off of.
I have more fun. I have more fun talking to people who want to vote for Joe Biden, and I say to them, "All right, tell me why Joe Biden should be president, apart from he hates Trump."
The average American adult, and there's other people around the world like this too. It also depends on how you're raised in your society to be the equivalency. But we have the emotional intelligence of a 17-year-old. You know when they say you peaked in high school? This is the outrage of the you peaked in high school.
Arrested Development.
Arrested Development. But here's the problem. This is about emotional intelligence. There are people that are making like good money that also have these problems. They're just not Antifa, but they're definitely financing the revolution because they don't want to go out there with billy clubs themselves, right? This is the issue. This is the issue, and it takes a while to eventually get past all that. And I noticed growing up in the 90s when I felt like it was right that when I became an adult to be a Democrat or to vote Democrat, is the appeal is kept on that 17-year-old level, that emotional maturity level. So that's basically the way the indoctrination works in the high school experience, and to a slightly lesser extent in the middle school experience. This is why it's so important to break the conditioning.
Steve, let me ask Viking this. Viking, okay, you got the creds. You are the real Cuvian apostle, and so tell us, on election night, does President Trump win in a landslide? Does he eke it out? What do you see? When you read the tea leaves and all the information you got,
algorithms,
right? Algorithms, whatever. What do you think's going to happen November 3rd that night? Go ahead.
So just based on his appearances, when he shows up to do this huge grandstanding event, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people are showing up. There's something. There is a certain class of Americans that I call the breadbasket. The middle Americans that really are working hard. They have a family. They have a business. That they have a motive, and they just are really hoping and have this vision that he's going to pull this off. He's going to expose the swamp and make America great again. Those two slogans are absolutely genius for marketing, but he also has his passion behind it. And there's more people seeing that than anything else. And I believe it's going to be a landslide because he again is terraforming our consciousness into a new reality of existence beyond this weaponized state of dystopia. It's going to be a landslide, and I don't care who they throw into their positioning or posturing, or whatever independent party comes up, or the Green Party. He is going to take this with a landslide because people are sick and tired and fed up, and where do you invest? What do you want to invest yourself in this dystopia and destruction? The guidestones, and we're all going to die, or do you want to literally try to for your family, find a prosperity and unity consciousness on this planet? I believe there's a subconscious flow here that's going to carry his agenda.
Now, I've got a question from the chat, from Two Feathers. Hello, Two Feathers. I'll just read it verbatim. Viking just said, with the Trump win, it will be a brave new world. What will that look like? We're coming up to the end, so yeah, but what type of world can you see when everything goes right? I think that's one way of saying it.
The first thing that has to happen, again, I'm still waiting for him to eliminate payroll tax. He was really understanding that in order for this nation to become prosperous, we have to have liquidity, not a toxic derivative as the Federal Reserve. So he has to destroy, absorb, and do away with the IRS. So we're going to see a brand new way of geoeconomics, or at least in this country, but also geoeconomics is going to change to gold-backed currency. And once that occurs, we're going to start to see liquidity. And with liquidity, there's going to be prosperity. And the second agenda is transparency. So you're going to see a lot of these deep state people arrested, brought to trial, and hung for sedition, or at least incarcerated. These are the two main parameters that need to occur.
And that kind of makes sense as well, because Trump is in his second term, and presidents can get things done in their second term because they can't be re-elected in that respect.
Especially when he has the House and Senate, it's going to be absolutely. It's going to be absolutely. He's going to have the magic wand at that point, and wherever he shakes it, it's going to manifest.
We'll have to wait and see. We've got
how many seats in the Senate do you think we might stand to gain, because hopefully we're going to gain in the Senate, because the filibuster is a big linchpin.
Well, the Senate, a third of the Senate is going up for re-election. I think he's going to get a majority in both the House and Senate. The House is totally up for grabs, and I just feel that people are realizing that, especially with all this blue state lockdown and all this subversion and denying us our sovereignty, people are going to go full red. They're going to bring in both House and the Senate.
Interesting. We'll have to wait and see. Which is 3 months ago.
Viking. Also, I had a question for you. What was your read on the president? If you saw him, he had to walk with the military through a military hospital, and they finally got Trump masked.
Well, he does a political stance. He had to. I mean, otherwise there'd be so much backlash that it's like he basically is conforming to the agenda at hand, only because he's in a hospital, right? What would happen if there would be more backlash of him not wearing it than him wearing it.
Yeah, there's a great parody site called the Babylon Bee. If you like your comedy, I recommend checking them out. They are so awesome. But with that
here's my problem, though. Trump was
hey, halfway through a sentence. By him wearing a mask, their joke is that it just made all the media start to question the effectiveness of masks. Steve, be very quick, because we're running out of time, and I'll do final thoughts.
Okay, well, I'm glad they're questioning the effectiveness of the mask, because that's the whole point, is that he's wearing the same mask that everybody has been saying has been unaffected. And, it's like, what about everybody, we only talk about the mask not working when it's Trump's mask.
It's pure political posturing. It's pure political posturing.
All right, so we've got about 4 minutes to go. So
also says, it helps keep the mask on, and
it doesn't say anything except for the fact that he's avoiding political backlash.
It says it in the way that the propaganda state can.
Well, if you're listening to propaganda, then fine. But if you're looking at a strategy, he basically had to do it.
But the people wearing the mask, they're the ones listening to that stuff, because there's no way all those people
that's the only
of being destroyed by what's going on, and they could have looked at new science and realized that at the very least the mask.
But also, but he's wearing he went into a hospital.
Yes, in a hospital.
So he's not wearing it in the Rose Garden. So
he would have been nailed to a stake if he hadn't have done that.
Yeah, and if I went into a hospital, if a friend of mine is in hospital, I would wear a mask in hospital just to shut them all up, because it's only going to be an hour and a half. Doesn't mean it's a lifestyle.
He wasn't in the presence of a patient. Social distance.
I was in a hospital the last 10 days. You can't even enter a hospital without wearing a mask. Period. You can't.
Right. No, Steve. No, they're right. If you go into a hospital where there's vets, you got to wear a mask so they can't accuse you of. But anyways, Monty, before you close your show out, how can somebody support you? What's your website, Patreon, or they can keep you going? Because I know in Australia you don't probably have a job. I mean, they're really hitting you hard right now.
Yeah, Victoria's in lockdown again.
Right.
If you go ahead.
If
you go to my YouTube channel, which is Wafer Thin Entertainment.
I just tried that, Monty. I just tried that, and I could not find the donate button.
The link is in chat.
There is
your donation came through.
I know. I just tried like in the last 20 minutes, and it's gone. It's gone.
Okay.
You're a man of honor, Viking. I mean, because you have dominated the show, so it's very nice that you got some money that you can actually help Monty out. So hats off.
I'm not trying to toot my horn here, but I tried to donate again, and they couldn't do it. I even looked up Wafer Thin Entertainments on PayPal, and there's no such thing.
Okay, so, no, there's the links there.
So how do you do it?
Once you're at the channel page, in the bottom right-hand corner is the PayPal square. You just link on that, and it just worked for me. Donate to Wafer Thin Entertainment.
So on which page again?
Wafer Thin Entertainment, the YouTube channel.
All right.
Just the actual channel page, and then there's Twitter, Instagram, and then donate to channel, which is the PayPal symbol at the bottom right-hand corner. And so we're running out of time very quickly. So Steve, you want to share how people can find you?
Thank you. Yes. If you're on Facebook, Zerilath396 is my working page, and on YouTube is the main thing I'm trying to build. I'm almost to 300 subs. YouTube.com/Zerilath.
Awesome. Viking, if you want to give out your information as well as the time that your show is on. Fridays, I believe.
Yeah, it's Fridays. I was saying 1 p.m. It's actually 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's 11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. The Galactic Interstellar Council down in Rabbit Hole Galactic Perspective. And we're going to be covering this week, how the fact that we can start to expand our consciousness will literally change the direction of humanity. And it's very powerful to start thinking outside the box or coloring outside the lines, because you're actually creating a ripple effect.
And HiJacker, you'll be appearing with Deacon during the week? Maybe not. But HiJacker will be around the station. And Cortek, since you're here as well, how can we send you hate mail?
You can just send it to the PO box, 1-800-HATE-ME.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Now, I was just wondering, in talking about coloring outside the box, the Epstein chick saying she was dead already. Do we have any progress on that? Oh.
It's a question for another time.
She was denied bail. She was denied bail.
Yeah, she denied bail. That was Planet Collingwood here on freedomslips.com. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Dylan. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We'll see you again soon. Have fun.